I think I'm done being nice. We'll see. Because he's not giving me anything in return, so I'm just gonna yell back. Let's do this. The pictures that Sarah took of me last week turned out really pretty well. They even got a lot of traction on social media and boosted my sales somewhat. Not by any substantial amount, but enough to see a difference. Sarah has had to deal with me ranting about a certain jerk with no manners these past couple of days. He was simply so rude to me that day, that still leaves me fuming. Of course, Sarah offered to beat him up for me again. Do it! Do it! I'll join in. And this time, I almost took her up on that offer. Yes, but I'd rather not give him more fuel to blackmail me. Yeah, we'd get sued, probably. Sigh. I'd do almost anything to see him get knocked down a peg or two. Also, I didn't know where Neil lived or worked for a while until Sarah reminded me of his last name. Forrester. The Forresters own the hospital, so I guess Neil must work there if I always seem to run into him in the surrounding area. Nonetheless, realizing where he works doesn't matter much to my current predicament because today is Friday. Yep, Neil is supposed to be coming over for his measurements, and I'm not looking forward to this one bit. Is he going to be snappy towards me again, insult me like last time? I really don't want to find out. But I'm ready to fight! The bell jingle disturbs me from my thoughts, and I look up at the entrance. It's just another customer, I say. I help my customer buy a dress, and once more, I'm left alone in the store. It's a slow day. My eyes dart over towards my childhood pictures, and I recall the time when I met Neil when he was just a little boy. He seemed so sweet and scared back then, nothing like he is right now. Now he's just a spoiled rich brat who doesn't know how to exercise common decency, I huff. A feeling of dread wells up in my stomach the longer the hours tick by. It's closing time, and I've already put up the close sign, and Neil hasn't showed up. Even if I wanted to berate him for being late, there's no way to contact him. It's not like I have his phone number. I'm not sure I even want his phone number. Of course, he has the nerve to show up right as I'm closing. You're late, I say. Neil fixes the cuffs on his sleeves, and he walks over to the counter. A habit he seems to keep repeating. I don't remember agreeing on an appointed time slot for today. I'm not in the mood for this, as it clearly shows on my face. Neil simply exhales loudly. Let's just get this started. I gesture towards the back where my sewing room is located. The sooner I can get this over with, the sooner I can have Neil out of my hair. We both walk in this awkward silence, and I once shut the door behind me. It's just me and Neil in this tiny, crimped sewing room. Honestly, what have I gotten myself into? Neil stands in the middle, surveying everything with a critical eye, and I wish I had taken the time to clean up and organize everything before he could judge me for being messy. I walk towards my crafting table and pick up my sketchbook along with a pencil. First things first, get a design he likes. Alright, can you tell me a little bit about the kind of blazer you like? I say in a bored voice. Elegant, simple, streamlined. The most expensive and durable fabric. Dark gray, in other words, perfection. Neil gives me a firm nod. My pencil hits the sketchbook. I'm not really going to pay any mind to the most expensive fabric part, nor the perfection part, but at least I got something to work with. I quickly sketch out a regular blazer, one of the most popular patterns. Neil waggles his finger at me. No. Do you think I'll be okay with the commonly store-bought blazers? No, try harder. It needs more finesse. See, I feel like there's no point in being a douchebag here. Why would I mock him? I know I said I would go for the... But I just don't want to be in that point where, like, I can't speak up. I want to tell him off, but I can't. I'll try to be... I want to be a professional, though. So what exactly do you have in mind? Would you like a secret pocket or something to hold all your cash? This makes Neil exhale air through his nose. He chuckled. I can't believe he chuckled. I think I can live without a secret pocket full of cash, but thank you for the idea, he looks amused. Aw, now we're bonding. Well, Then what is it? Would you like a different pattern? I got several to work with. From. I'd like more shape to it. So would you like it to be more fitted? Alright, I can work that into the design. Newly determined, I checked back to sketching out several blazer designs. I try to put an elegant twist to it, hoping to satisfy his outrageous demands. Then I finished a few. I show it to Neil, turning the sketchbook towards him. It's almost as if I'm waiting for his approval or praise, and that kind of bugs me. His golden eyes glaze over the paper, inspecting the designs. He's got an interested look on his face, and he leans closer over the table.
Oh.
If you could... Neil tries to go for the pencil in my hand. His fingers brush over mine, then he immediately jerks back, knocking the pencil out of my hand. It lands on the floor with a dull thud. He quickly bends down to grab it without another word. I wonder what that was about. Is touching me so below him or something? I stare him down, and he gets back up with the pencil. He tries to pass off like nothing happened, and then makes a few adjustments on some of my sketches, albeit in a childish way. Do it like this? Neil places down the pencil. There are weird doodles all over my original sketch. You're definitely the next Picasso, I see, sarcastically. I wouldn't have to be if you got it right the first time, Neil fires back, crossing his arms. Now, something like this is to my taste. I'm going to presume you don't have much high-quality fabrics lying around here, so I want to sample the fabric before you purchase it. Do you want me to send it over to you with priority? Yes, I'd like that. I was joking. I didn't know you could joke. Neil and I stare at each other for a while, a tension building up between us. He's got this poker face on, and it's hard to guess what's going on in his mind. Then again, maybe it's not hard to guess. All I know is that Neil sure likes to mock me and command me around. We'll worry about the fabric later. I just need to get your measurements first. This is the part I've been personally anguishing at night about, getting up close and personal with Neil. Very well, take my measurements. Neil clasps his hands together. He walks to the middle of the room, expecting me to start. He's acting like he's in charge, and that's taking me off like just a tiny bit. This is my boutique, and he'll have to do what I tell him, not the other way around. I can tell him to take his shirt off, for example. Not that I need to. I can take measurements through his shirt just fine, but it's just for science. You know what? I'm not gonna have him take his shirt off. That's just a little weird. And that's a lot of work. I take my measurements. See, I'm not too much of a douchebag, okay? I'm not gonna try to embarrass this guy or try to get him naked. Not professional at all. I take out my my measuring tape, and I step closer to him. His eyes are following my every move. It's unnerving. Turn around, I say. Then he actually does turn around. I'm quite surprised. Bend over. No, I'm just kidding. I'm quite surprised. I expected him to reply with some witty comeback. I shake my head at myself and then place my tape against the nape of his neck, and Neil flinches at my touch. I frown at his back. Did I accidentally scratch you? I ask him, unsure. No, it's nothing. Continue. If I make you uncomfortable, let me know. I said it's nothing, he repeats himself. All right, if he says so. I pull the tape all the way down and note the measurements. Arms up, I say, tapping his arm with my hand. Again, he flinches away from me, but doesn't make a sound or say anything. It's so peculiar. Perhaps he isn't quite used to someone touching him while being measured. He raises his arms and stretches them out, so that I can reach all the way around him and wrap the tape around his chest. I tighten it, and then press the palm of my hand against his back. He arches his back the more pressure I exert, almost as if I'm slightly pushing him away. Maybe I should try and relax him, as he seems on edge around me. So do you work at the hospital? I asked, trying to distract myself from the awkward silence. Neil rolls his shoulders after I pull the tape off of him. Why would you need to know that information? I glare at his back while I note down the measurements again. Well, fine. Don't tell me, Mr. Fancy Pants. Turn around, please. I grab his upper arm, noticing his skin jump when I do, and spin him around so he faces me. Neil's making this weird face and refuses to look at me. My family owns it, that's all I'll say about that matter. So what's this blazer for anyway? Any special occasion, I ask, only slightly interested in the answer. You ask too many questions. And you don't answer enough, I say with a huff. If I know what the occasion is for, then I can create a fitting design for it. Dinner. Family dinner, he says gruffly. With your parents? Yes. Ah, so he's having dinner with his parents. His parents are the Forresters. They own the hospital. I do wonder what Neil does at the hospital, but getting an answer out of him is like pulling teeth. I lower my body and tighten the tape around his waist. My eyes focus on the numbers. I try to take his measurements of his waist, but that's when I notice how tense Neil is. He's sucking in his stomach. Stop sucking in your stomach. I don't care if you got a bit of a gut. I need your real measurements, I tell him sternly. This is not going to work out if I get the wrong numbers. Not that I particularly care if he wears a blazer that's too tight on him. I am doing no such thing, Neil denies, and my body is perfectly healthy for your information. I straighten up and look at him, to which he immediately turns his head away. You're tense. Just relax. How can one relax when being prodded and poked and spun around like a ballerina? You can't relax around me? For some reason, this makes me gleeful. Like I finally have the upper hand after he's been such a jerk to me. Just breathe out and let me measure your waist. Neil takes a big breath and slowly exhales. His reactions are giving me this itch, like I want to touch him more. I tighten the tape around him and take a step closer, putting myself up close and personal with him. I've been trying to avoid getting too close to Neil this whole time, but that was before I knew how much he'd fidget if I beat up in his face. Let's make him uncomfortable. Neil awkwardly turns his face around with a cough. Are you okay? I ask him, a slight smirk playing on his lips. Like I said before, I can stop if you're becoming uncomfortable. I'm fine, his voice cracks a little. Well, if he says it's alright, I'm sure he doesn't mind if I slow down my actions and drag it out as much as possible. That is like masochist shit. Like, it's like he's revealed his weakness to me and I can't help but to prod and poke him. Oh my gosh, I want to tease him. Honestly, this is me in real life. You show me your weakness, I abuse it. I linger with my touch here and there, though still noting down actual measurements. He's fidgeting, but for some reason, he's not telling me to stop. My eyes wander over towards his neck. I can see he's got goosebumps. Wait, that's not the kind of reaction I was expecting. Is he nervous? Neil notices my staring and quickly covers his neck with his hand. Are you sure you even went to fashion school? You should have been done by now. You're only taking the measurements of a human, not the whole wide world. Neil's voice has a slight edge to it. Alright, time to wrap this up. I measure his inseam one last time and then give him a pat on his back. Done, I say cheerfully. I didn't expect Neil to jump away from me in reaction to the pat on his arm. I barely have time to register that his feet get caught in my tape and he topples over. Neil reaches out to me to stabilize himself. Is he on top of me? Is that what we're doing here? Ugh, typical. His weight is too much for me to suddenly bear, and he brings the both of us down on the floor with a loud thump. POV! POV! Ah. This is another picture I might save. It's not as good as the first one, though. Neil's head crashes against the mirror behind him, and I collapse on top of him. I look at him in surprise. He gives me a similar look in return. I seem to be straddling his waist, and I'm way too close to his face. Neil's heartbeat thumps underneath my hand. Are you alright? I decide to ask him once the shock wears off. Peachy, says Neil, his voice definitely cracking this time. He turns his head away from my gaze. Could you get off of me now? What's the rush? Or get up? I was already playing with him before. He's really yeah, what's the rush? Seriously? Neil looks at me as if I lost my mind. How about the fact that your weight is killing my air supply? I shift my weight around. Say please. This is fun. Neil looks agitated and embarrassed at the same time, like he can't bring himself to say the words, but knowing he kind of has to, since he doesn't have it in him to throw me off of him. In other words, he's stuck with me unless he says the magic word. Neil bites his lips. Please, he says in a tiny and defeated voice. He caved in so fast. I pick myself up with a smirk on my face. It's like I had Neil right under my thumb, or I guess in this situation, literally under me. Once I remove myself from him, Neil quickly gets up from the floor as well. For some reason, I don't have much faith in your measurements. I could tell you had to measure some parts again. He rubs his arm while glaring at me. I smile at him, knowing exactly why I went over some areas twice. We'll just have to find out now, won't we? If you got the wrong measurements, I demand you create me an entire new suit. Right, sure, whatever you say, Majesty. I roll my eyes at him like I would ever make him a suit. See, now my character has that feel of power, of control. And don't call me that, he spits out. Oh, it seems I got under his skin. This is kind of fun, annoying him like this. This is a really long episode, by the way. Your Majesty, I say instead. Neil angrily stumps his foot on the ground like a petulant child. Any of these are unacceptable, or what? He then quickly composes himself. You may call me... Yeah, I'm sticking with your Majesty, I say quickly, cutting him off. And before he could get another word in, I circle around him and start pushing him by shoving my hands against his back. I get a small rush of satisfaction when I feel his skin twitch under my fingers. I love this. Wah! Get your hands off of me. I could totally be sued right now. Time to leave now. I'll let you know which fabric I've chosen. But right now, it's closing time, so get out. I keep pushing him out of my room until one final shove puts him near the entrance of the store. He turns around, anger flashing in his face, and his ears are tinted with red. He wants to say something, but then immediately bites down on his lips and then opens the door to leave. Good night, he yells out, then slams the door behind me. As I stand there all alone, a grin creeps up on my face. I got under Neil's skin good. He deserves it for treating me like that. That was a whole episode, man. That was a really long one.